Okay, so welcome to Money Breakthrough. Yeah, now this session is really about not just having a breakthrough in some sort of like excited sense, but it's about understanding that how your wealth consciousness and your relationship with money is absolutely central to the success of your business and the growth of your business stage by stage. Because for every new stage and upgrade in your business will be an upgrade in your wealth consciousness, both as an internal set of beliefs as well as patterns and systems of how you interact with money and how much you charge and all of those things. So I really honor you for coming to this session because people often know that they've got money stuff in the way, but often, strangely enough, are resistant to doing the work. It's a bit like tax, or it's like, well, I know I've got to do it. But here's the thing, so many people I work with, the biggest block is money in the wisdom industry. And that they've got these incredible wisdom inside them they're getting out to the world, and they've hit a ceiling. Yeah, this has happened again and again. I've done thousands of sessions with people around money and their wealth consciousness, and and tens of thousands of sessions around their business and business growth. And what I find again and again and again is that so often what's blocking their marketing, their all sorts of elements of their business is that fundamentally they don't have the structure, the internal belief system to be able to receive the amount of money that their booked out business would have. Yeah, so that's what we're going to explore today is your consciousness of money, where it is currently and where it needs to be to grow your business. And I'll share some stories because for me, the my growth in my money is one of my greatest joys in how I've had to learn to change from where I came from. But before I get into that, let me just introduce you to the Embodied Business School. If you're new, Embodied Business Institute, if you're new to this work. Basically, what we do is we help people transform their businesses, grow their businesses through what we call the embodied way. And the embodied way is different than the head led way. So, the head led way of growing your business is get a goal, get a plan to fulfill on that goal, and get in action. And if you're a head led person, that future based way of generating motivation will really work and will give you inspiration. You'll be able to grow your business that way. And we do use goals and plans. But if you're an embodied or a body led or a feeling centered person, then what happens is that type of motivation, that more like, come on, what's your goal? Let's break through, let's go for it. Here's a 10-step plan. Take step one today, take step two tomorrow. You can do it. Anything is possible. That sort of excited energy will work better for a mental or head led person, but will actually, even though it might be exciting in the moment, will actually not sustain itself for a body led or an embodied person. And so the the practice in the Embodied Business Institute is learning how to awaken what we call your current, your flow of life force, to be the driving force in your business. Because basically, if that current is alive enough and connected enough to your state and to how you create, then you'll find that you're able to engage in marketing plans and action plans and things in a way that's really authentic to you, as opposed to them becoming cages. So that's how we do it. Basically, we work with two main people, which is either head-led people who want to be more embodied. Yeah, so a good chunk of people I've been training over 20 years are people who are actually quite good at business, good in their head, but the way they do it exhausts them. There's just too much mental energy, and they want to do business from a deeper, embodied, more ecstatic place. They want to do it more magnetically rather than structurally, and so they come and learn that. And then the bigger group of people is these embodied creators who often are feeling a bit jaded by traditional business practices and feel like, oh, there's this whole sort of do my 5-step plan and you'll have $1 million by Thursday sort of structure, something in that's just not authentic and right. And so often then those people feel like, oh, maybe I'm not good at business, but they just haven't learned to do business in a way that works for their way of learning, the embodied way of learning, which is less about future visions and financial goals and more about deep feeling and following that current. and that you can be incredibly successful in business doing it that way. And that's my passion, is to help those people, those I call them the wisdom bringers, to truly be able to bring that wisdom into the world, because often those people have incredible rich inner worlds with great wisdom and magic inside them, but struggle to bring it out and communicate it clearly, because there's the modern business system feels like it's not a fit for the wisdom they're bringing forward. But if we can learn to do business in a way that you absolutely love, then you can be incredibly successful in business without betraying your integrity to your own body, your own spirit, your own all of that. So that's what we do. And then we're focusing on money in this session from an embodied perspective. And yeah, I think I'll start just by sharing my evolution with money, because some of the things, often I get praised a lot about how loving I am. You've got this incredible love inside you. And I'm really grateful for that. And my parents loved me with incredible grace. Despite drug addiction and mental health issues, they had incredible love for me. And so that love was something that is gifted to me. And I can't claim to have worked for that. But money, oh my God, my parents gave me, crap is an understatement, structure around money. So they both were poor. They both had drug issues. They continually felt like that there was the rich people who were all bad and evil, and then there was us good people who were poor, but we were the right. It's just a terrible, I was lending my parents my birthday money from like when I was 13, you know, we just continually we didn't have no food. We had a roof over our heads. So, it's still a privileged life, but just, yeah, not real poor, car breaking down all the time, just a really poor upbringing with constant stress about money. And my parents were hippies who said, we don't want to be involved in the money system. But in actual fact, their relationship with money dictated our house. So they tried to break away from the money system, but actually it controlled the mental health of our home. Continuous worry about money, not enough money, waiting for payday, money running out, and all those things. So the biggest gift I got from them was very, very clear that this relationship with money was not going to work for me. So I started saving money even from a young age, and just made a real commitment that money wasn't going to dictate what I do. And that was another gift from them, is they certainly told me, you don't have to work for money, like 9 to 5, get a career. They said, follow your heart and life will work out. And I did. I hitchhiked right around Australia when I was 19, with living on very little money, sleeping. I had a little bivy bag, sleeping by the side of the road. Literally took me a year and a half, and I hitchhiked right around Australia, and I did it with very, very little money. So they brought me up with a sense of possibility, but not a sense of wealth. And so I've had to change that, through all sorts of trainings, internal shifts, practical changes. I've had to change that to the point now where, I run a 6-figure business that I absolutely love. I own my own home. I own my own electric car, which is new and exciting. I support my son. I support charities. Like, I do things that are great for me with money. And while I'm not here saying I'm a, 7-figure, 9-figure business owner, the truth is, where I've evolved from with money is one of the greatest miracles in my life. Yeah, to be as wealthy as I am and have done that in a way that, following my heart and doing work I absolutely love, is a miracle. And it's one of the reasons I run these sessions, is I'm really passionate about people, especially people with really poor wealth consciousness, breaking out of that cage and doing it in a way that's authentic. Because often a lot of wealth stuff is like, okay, everyone, you can have $1 million. Here's my private jet. And it can feel really inauthentic to a lot of people. And they go, oh, I don't want to be like that to earn money. And so then they actually reject money. So the fundamental principle that I work with around wealth, around money, is if you don't have the money that you need to grow your wisdom business and to serve your life properly, it's that you haven't created a relationship with money that you love. Yeah. So you don't have to do something that's untrue for you to become wealthy. You don't have to buy it into a system that you don't believe in. You don't have to think a certain way. You don't have to be a certain type of person to be wealthy. You get to create your relationship with wealth. Just like, I'm sure you've all come across, and that those stories of you create your own reality, that the theory or the principle, you are a creator of your own reality. Yeah. So you've thought that, but then have you applied that to money? Yeah, because you can. And today's a real, hopefully, a potential real turning point in maturing your relationship with money. Whether you've already got a good relationship with money, let's find out what a great one's like. If you know, some people have actually got a lot of money, but you've got to work really hard doing a job you hate to get it. And then they'll rebel against that and not have money, or they'll do the job but resent it. Other people will like, you can have a little bit but not too much, or there'll be all sorts of different patterns there that we'll explore today. But foundationally, to grow your wisdom business is to grow your wealth consciousness and your relationship with money. That making sense so far? Just give us some hands if that's all making sense. Great. So are you ready to upgrade your wealth today? You're ready to really make a shift? Yeah, we up for that? This is not just theory. We're going to get a sense of what's my shift today. Great. And one of the things is that's really important is to understand what is your next wealth shift. Yeah, and I'll share why this is so important. And honestly, I haven't found anyone else teaching this. I presume they're out there somewhere. But most people who are teaching about money are teaching you one strategy to get your wealth, and increase your wealth. And they're often teaching it from inside the consciousness of where they are and the privilege and the circumstances they've had. And if you're similar to them, then their strategy and their way of working will work. But if it's not, then often you'll come away from that sort of training going, oh, maybe I'm not able to be wealthy like they are, or whatever. For example, if you grew up working class with not a lot of money, and you've had those patterns embedded in you from a little child, you have a belief about how much money is available to you in yourself, as I did. And that's a whole set of beliefs and habits. And every time you see someone in a rich car and you go, asshole, or whatever it is, there's this whole way of that you're continually relating to money on a daily basis. Every time you're spending money, every time you're receiving money, we're interacting with money every day, most of us, often 10, 20, 50, 100 times a day. And so every time we're doing that inside the patterns that we were given. And so if you're coming from a more working class struggle background around wealth, and then you go and you do earn $1 million by breakfast, weekend training to transform your wealth consciousness, and someone comes into you and says, you can make $1 million. Here's my 10-step plan to become a millionaire. Yeah, and they share it, and the room's inspired, and then there's even some people who get up and say, I have implemented these 10 steps and I got this $1 million, and it's like, wow, this is possible for everyone, and it feels exciting. And it can help upgrade your wealth consciousness. But if they've already got embedded patterns, let's say they grew up in a whole different consciousness around wealth and money, and that's embedded in them, then they've got a whole different platform they're standing on, and whole privilege that they're standing on, both externally in terms of the money and the education they've had, but also internally in terms of the thoughts and just embodied patterns they have around money. And so then what happens is, if you haven't built those same patterns, you'll go to a training like that, come away, and you haven't built the internal structures. And so then that ends up feeling like, oh, that's for someone else. And then what we do is we separate from money. It's like, oh, well, money is for those other people. It's obviously not for me. Yeah. Or I don't want to be one of those people, so I'm not going to get money. So what we've got to learn to do is find out really where we are, where our wealth consciousness is, and where we want to go, and then build a pathway towards that over time. Yeah, I've created a program called Wealth Warrior, which is a really intensive sort of month-long repatterning program to really transform your wealth. And when I'm coaching people, it's a continual part of the growth is to continually upgrade in our money. So in the village, which is our mastermind program, money is just continually there. We're continually exploring, where's my current wealth consciousness? Can I receive this? I'm launching a program. I want, 20 people in my, rediscover your vital health program. In fact, I'll give you an example of that. So I had a client who was doing a program. She wanted, again, 20 people in it. And it was a, sort of like reinvent your life sort of program. And she came to me. She developed the course with me a while ago, and then was off presenting it, and then came to me going, "Oh my God, it's 2 weeks before the launch, and I've only got 4 people in it. I think this program's amazing. I'm not sure why." Um, and then as we said, okay, well, how much money are you going to receive? I think she was charging $900 a ticket for the program. And so then when we worked out that it was $18,000, $19,000, so it must have been 950 or something. So when she worked out that it was $19,000 she was going to receive to that program, and we then went, okay, can you receive $19,000? And as she, I got her to check in, can I receive this $19,000? Her whole body went, what? What? So she had no internal pattern for receiving that money, even though the course was brilliant, even though she was really clear that the value that she was going to give people was great. She believed in it, but she didn't have the wealth consciousness behind her to be able to um, make that thing happen. So then what we did, which is part of what we're going to do today, is we went, okay, what could your wealth pattern handle? And we actually found out that 12, which was whatever that was over 10 grand, 12 grand, something, 9, 11 grand, was um, would be a huge step for her, given she'd mainly run individual sessions. And so in actual fact, 12 grand for her for a course was epically huge. Like she would go, oh my God, even that would be huge for me. Even though the 20 people she felt comfortable holding, but that much 20 grand was too much for her system. And so what we do is we found what we call the growth zone. We do this with anything we're training people in, which is um, a big enough a stretch to be in the unknown, but not such a big a stretch that we collapse or go into force or whatever. So you've got to find that zone where it's like, oh yes, is that possible? And you grow in that, and then you get a new growth zone in the new growth zone, and so you upgrade your wealth that way. So we actually changed the goal from 20 people down to 12, and immediately she just felt a different change because energetically her internal system was now more aligned with the goal that she was going. And then we did a whole lot of patterning work around receiving that 12 grand. And in fact, what we said once she laid out her marketing plan in front of me, I said, actually, that's a pretty good marketing plan. Do these 2 or 3 things differently. But besides that, I don't think that we've got an issue with the marketing plan. She had some people who were interested. There was energy around it, but they just weren't converting. So most of her work was on a state of shifting her wealth consciousness, receiving that 12 grand, Next week she came in, she'd got 3 new people. There was a week to go. She had got 3 more people. She was excited. She was feeling like, oh, I've got energy now. I've got flow and creativity. And in the end, she got 11 of her 12 people, within that time, because she did her wealth work to then be able to, fulfill on the goal. Does that make sense? Is that just, yep, good, good. So being able to understand where's my wealth consciousness in terms of my business I'm creating, and grow that and work with that, is a skill that every business owner should have. So I want to give you that skill today, so at least you get some blueprint, but also hopefully so that if you're considering coming to join us in the village, you can get a sense of, oh, right, this is part of the work I'm just going to be doing regularly. While I'm training, I'm just going to be upgrading my wealth every step of the way. Okay, so let's start with where you want to be. Great. Vanessa's saying it all resonates so strongly. Beautiful. So where would you love to be financially? Now, what we're going to do here is we're not going to do the whole, okay, let's, your villa in France and your mountain chalet in, no, you'd have your mountain chalet in France and your villa in Spain or whatever. But anyway, like, we're not going for that. I do work with people like that around cracking the financial paradigms of that. And, I've had people who attribute becoming millionaires through this work. So even though I haven't fulfilled on that yet, the work has helped people fulfill on that, which is great. But the, yeah, we're not going to go for that ceiling cracking big vision stuff, because I really want to just work with something more grounded so that it's got more of that embodied texture. So what I want you to do is think, in 6 months, where would you love your business to be? Yep. And we're going to look at this really structurally, really practically. We're not doing a whole vision for all the different elements of the business. I just want you to look at like numbers of people and money you're earning. So it's like 10 clients every week, and that's $1,500 a week. Just choose something. And I'm not saying push it today. Yeah. Other times, if I'm your coach, there'll be times I'll be saying, come on, let's double that, let's triple that. But often I'll be saying the opposite as well. Like I said with this one, was let's go down from 20 to 12. Let's build a pattern for there. And now, just I guess the end of that story is that woman is now taken that training further, and she now, yeah, I can't tell you who she is because I haven't got permission to share that bit, but she's well known on Instagram. She's running a very successful six-figure biggest business now, and that's now what she's embodied. Yeah. Um, so where you'd love to be in your business in 6 months, and just write it in the chat. Yeah, 5 clients a week, $1,000. Booked out course, 20 people, $20,000. Whatever it is, write it down. And as you're writing it down, just notice even then how that feels, whether that's like, oh yeah, that's possible, whether that you can almost hear a voice in the background going, dreaming. So just notice, because that's what we want to do today, is we want to get a real clear sense of what your embodied consciousness is around money, and then we'll look at how to work with it. Okay, so chuck it in the chat. Where do you want your business to be in 6 months? Again, I'm not necessarily saying that you've got to commit to these goals. That's a longer process to really check in. I'm just saying, just choose something. Just for the sake of this exercise, let's choose something that feels good. Okay, making $10,000 a month, starting with a reasonable figure. And I just want you to also look at, just to ground it a bit. So for Carly, $10,000 a month, how are you doing that? How many clients is that? Groups of that? Just a couple of simple things. It just helps make it a bit more realistic of like in your consciousness. So I'm making $10,000 a month. That means I'm seeing 20 clients a month at, that cost or whatever it is. Great. Auburn, 10 clients a month, 7,500 a month, $1,000 a week as a stay-at-home mum, 11 clients a week, $2,000 a week. Great. 3 clients a week, regular workshops, a studio fortnightly. Great. And just how much money? Oh, yeah, there it is, $1,000 a week. Great. 9 clients a week, $1,000. Great. So you've got a vision now. Yeah, you've got a possibility. So now what we want to do is we want to get a sense of what's the embodied wealth consciousness, the state, yeah, behind that. Because every external goal has a state behind it that is its internal. Like every tree has a root system that allows the tree to be the way it is. So every external result has a state behind it that allows it to come into being. So the way we find that state, and we do a lot more training in this in the business work, but is we're going to go in and just imagine that you've fulfilled on that. So when you close your eyes, take a breath, just come into your body, because I want this to be an embodied process. Just center yourself and just drop into state, whatever you do to drop into state. And now I want you to imagine it's 6 months down the track and you have those 10 clients a week. You have that $1,000 a week. Whatever it is, I want you to imagine that you have that. It's coming in now. It's normal. It's the way it is now. Just take a breath and imagine you're receiving that. You can almost maybe even imagine person after person is coming and giving you that money. Whatever it is. Yeah, you're opening to receive that money. Giving thanks for it, breathing it in. And really feeling the state of being that you feel. We call it the essence. But the state of being that you feel now that this is a reality. Now you have these 10 clients, there's 3,500 per participant. Yeah. Whatever it is, just feel they're there. If you've got, and really feel that the numbers of them, I want you to feel those people have given you that money. I just want you to breathe and receive it. And in this moment, I want you to just receive it as fully as you can. In a minute, we'll explore how able to receive this is, your system is. But first, I really want you to breathe and receive that in. Just imagine you're breathing, letting it in. And just feel, what is that state of being? I feel energized, I feel alive, I feel full, I feel grateful, I feel solid. And just, what is that state? Yeah, it'll be unique for each one of you. For me, strangely enough, in the first years I did a lot of wealth work, it was all actually about safety. Yeah, I did this process and I thought, oh, if I'm seeing 10 clients, I think it was even 5 clients a week was my first goal, and earning like, I can't even remember, I think it was $500 a week. This is 20 years ago. I'm like, okay, what would the essence of that be? And I expected to feel inspired and excited, but actually I found the essence was safety. I felt secure. I felt like, oh, the world is a good place. And that revolutionized my understanding of wealth. That for me, I had to develop a sense of safety in myself, and that there was enough money for me before I could even begin to believe in cracking ceilings and, generating $100,000 in a weekend like I have before. So find what is that essence for you. If that you've got those clients, that money's coming in, what is that? Just breathe and receive that as if it's real. And just feel this state. This is the state that's required for you to fulfill on this. So just breathe and move with this state a little bit and just feel what does it feel like? Yeah, what do I notice in my belly? What do I notice in my heart? What emotions are present? Just feel the state of this wealth and breathe it in. Welcome it in. And just give yourself as much permission as you can to say yes to it now. Yeah, integral part of wealth creation is building the root system. Just like a tree needs, basically the root system fundamentally shapes how much fruit it's able to create. So too with your wealth, building wealth, that the first is being able to rebuild and grow your internal foundations for receiving wealth, which is a whole series of habits and thoughts and ways of being around money. So just breathe and feel that state of wealth that you've fulfilled on by creating this goal for yourself. And give thanks for it. Just take a minute to enjoy it. Really see how fully you can say yes to it and let it come alive in the system. And just notice, and you can even write this down if you want. If we were doing a full coaching session, I would get you to map this really deeply, but we're just touching on it now, and you can come and do deeper work with us if you want to fully map this. But just for now, just notice what thoughts are arising in this space, what emotions are present in your body, what's happening in your posture. Just map what this wealth consciousness of this $1,000 a week or $3,500, whatever it is, just notice what's the whole pattern of this, the whole state behind this. And just breathe and welcome that state in. Core part of your wealth growth will be how to activate this state. Just take another minute with it and just enjoy it and just see how fully you can bring it alive in your body. If you know our state work, you can just breathe, move, and sound, use the warrior engine to wake that up. Or if you don't know what I'm talking about, just breathe it in, move it through the body, and just give yourself permission to really receive that level of wealth. Just enjoy it. And in the minute, we'll be looking at resistance and past patterns that are in the way. But for now, just see if you can just say a big as yes to it as you can. Just enjoy it. Because your ability to activate and assimilate this state as into the foundation of your psychology, into your unconscious mind, will be the foundation of your ability to transform your relationship with money. Just give yourself a chance to breathe it in and give thanks for it. And then I just want you to really write down some words that describe this state. Yeah, is there a specific word of like fulfilled, or is there certain sensations like I feel strong? Yeah, or is there a certain emotion of I feel full? So just write a few words to describe this state to me. Ideally, one word that is like, yeah, it's a state of fullness, a state of abundance, a state of, strength, whatever it is. And often it's quite different than we think. And I find that's the most powerful. If often we go, oh yeah, I think it would be abundant, but when we actually feel that I'm earning that much, I feel solid, I feel peaceful. Yeah, so just notice what is that state, and just write a few words down about it. Love, great. Capable, grounded, peace, beautiful. Breathe this state in. This state is the secret to you unlocking more wealth in your life. Your ability to ground and pattern that creates new fertilization of new, compost in the ground to then give you opportunities to, the actions you're taking and the marketing you're doing and all of the external stuff you're doing to get this business happening. It gives it a much stronger ground for creating it. Vanessa's calling it the fairy godmother state. Great. So whatever it is, just take some time to welcome it for revealing itself to you. Because now I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to get real here, because most people I do this work with lie to me in their response. And it's not because they're trying to lie to me. It's because often around money, we're really uncomfortable with facing the reality of where our finances are, the way our current wealth consciousness. We tend to, basically, it's the same with any area where we're uncomfortable. We often will not be honest about how uncomfortable we are there, because it's yucky to go, oh my God, this stinks. It's like, this beautiful smell of poo. Yeah. So we unconsciously try and make peace with where we are. So I want you to be as honest as you can with yourself. And so we're going to say this state, if you could fulfill and activate this state fully, that's a 10. Yeah, that's what we call on the embodiment scale, which I'll talk about that in a minute, is a 10. It means that is fully embodied in you. Yeah, so it's running through your physical body. It's your emotions are arising from that state. Your thoughts are arising from that state. Your habits and actions and the results you're getting are arising from that state. That's a 10 out of 10. It's fully embodied internally and fully in the fabric of your life. So that's a 10. So I want you to get real with yourself now about currently in your life, not just in this moment when you've done this exercise, but realistically, if you look at your life now with the amount of clients you have, with the way money comes and goes, with the way you think about money, yeah, because there'll be at least a little gap, if not a big gap, between the way, in fact, I'll just ask that question and go back a step. Notice in that state, take another breath, let's go back to that state. Yeah, that peaceful state, the fairy godmother state, whatever it is, just that energized gratitude, solid, consistent, clear, that spaciousness, that grounded, whatever that state is. And just how do you feel about money in this state? Yeah, when you think about money, yeah, money coming and going, spending money, earning money, receiving it. How do you feel about money? Yeah, just notice, what are your predominant thoughts you have around money? What are your predominant emotions you have around money? And just notice that. Just want you to really pay attention to that, because I've done as I said, one of my first programs ever I did was a 30-day repatterning around wealth program, and that wealth is a whole series of habits, that every time we spend money, every time we receive money, we are creating our reality with money. And often we don't realize that. It's like, oh, I've got to pay this bill. Oh, no, I've got to spend this money. And we're continually affirming, haven't got enough, not enough, not enough, or vice versa. When we're really feeling wealthy, there's a sense of, oh my God, I get to, help fund this person's job at the cafe, or I get to, each time we spend money, there's a sense of gratitude for what we're receiving and also what we're giving. So just notice in this state that you've just found, how are you thinking and feeling about money? And just write a few words down on your bit of paper, maybe in your chat as well, but just notice. Yeah. Yeah. And again, something that I've found around money, particularly, it's true in all elements of life, but it's especially true with money, is that it's being shaped by so many different micro habits, emotions, thoughts, by our history. Like from a young age, we're being taught around money, and obviously, money's got such power in this world. If we've got money, the opportunities are so big. If we don't, that's so constrictive. So it has incredible power in our psyche, and we've been trained about money from a young age. And so often we don't recognize how um, how much work it's going to take to transform our consciousness around money. And so then we get excited. We do a little, like a meditation like this, a little session, and we go, oh my God, yes, I can see it. I'm wealthy. I'm going to earn, this much money. And then it doesn't happen, and we go, oh, well, and we forget about it. But actually, to transform our wealth consciousness is a real discipline. It's a real practice. And I used to be more excited about teaching people with wealth consciousness, but I really want to transform my message now. So yes, it's about generating possibility, but it's also about a really deep commitment to change habits, to change ways of feeling and thinking, building internal state, external habits that really lay new foundations for wealth. And I'm excited because I've done that for myself, and my life is a product of that now. I'm sitting in a little studio that I built myself with. Yeah, it's just, yeah, money truly is something that we're creating all the time, and to transform it is to become that aware and weave those new habits in. Okay, so now I'll go back to where I was. So you've got this state of wealth, what a 10 out of 10 is, the way it thinks, feels, interacts around money. So now the question is, looking at your life now in realistic, honest truth, where are you at now out of 10? I use scale a lot because it allows us to very quickly work with people. In the end, the numbers aren't true, and of course there's variation, but if you're honest and you look at your life now, what are you at? And I mean, on a really practical level, you can look at it just for, if you said $1,000 a week, how much are you currently earning? Oh, I'm earning $100 a week. Great, you're at a 1. Yeah, you're at 10% of that. Whatever feels true. But I really want you to look at it from a holistic perspective, not just, oh yeah, I feel wealthy and abundant. We're really looking at the amount of money that's coming in, how it's flowing. Yeah, and what is that score? Great. Okay. 4, 3, 3, 3, 3. Wow, it's a 3 community. There's like 10 threes, 5, 2. Great. Great. So now this is, I said money breakthrough. This is the bit where you have the breakthrough. Uh, Prescribing a breakthrough is always funny, but what I want to share with you, especially for those of you who are at the 3s and the 4s, is um, how do I say this in a way that's brutal but not disheartening? Um, you're not going to fulfill on that goal. For those of you who are 4 and under, you're not going to fulfill on the goal that you just named without some radical transformational work around money. Yeah, it's probably true even for 5s and 6s and maybe even 7s and 8s, but it's definitely true if you're at a 1, 2, 3, or 4, your wealth consciousness is radically under embodied for what you've just said you want to create. And that's true for all of us. It's not a problem. In fact, I hope it's that uncomfortable type of inspiration, not like just the, oh, I can do it, anything is possible inspiration, but like the, ah, shit. Yeah, if I want to transform this, I'm going to have to get to work. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be, but if you think about it, in fact, this is what was said to me once when I first got my first wealth program, and I was talking to my essence or to my inner wisdom or whatever you want to say. And I'd done a bit of wealth work previous to that, but my finances hadn't really changed. I had a few clients coming in, but I was continually sort of, basically recreating my parental patterns of not enough. Where's the next money coming from? Is there enough? And I'd taken some steps, but so I was complaining to my intuition in my journal, and I was saying, um, why am I not more wealthy? I've done my wealth meditations. I feel like I've called in this new level of wealth, but I feel like just I keep coming back to this foundation of insecure wealth. It feels very familiar to me, and no matter what I do, and no matter how much I generate a good amount of money in a week, I come back to this really insecure foundation of wealth again and again, even though I've done all this work. Why is that? And I was complaining. I was having a sook. And what my own intuition said to me, whatever you understand that to be, it said, today, I don't know if it was talking literally, if somehow my intuition knows this, but it said, today you thought about money and interacted with money 158 times. Yeah, in terms of spending money, paying bills, thinking about it. There was 158 moments today that you had some sort of thought connection with about money. And then it said, and 5 of them, of the 158, were positive, new wealth creating thoughts or feelings or interactions. 5 of them. The other 153 were the same, you interacting with money, the same habitual way you have all of your life. And so you unconsciously think that because you've changed one of those 158 today, then suddenly, where's the money coming? I put it on my vision board. Why isn't the money coming? Yeah. And it was a real slap for me. And that my intuition then said, and what I built my first wealth program on, was that absolute foundation of, we want to move that from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10. Because so many people will promise you quantum upgrades in your wealth. Yeah, radical wealth shifts. I don't see it actually happen very often. Yeah, everyone has a certain capacity that they're built, their patterns have built. So let's say we've all got a range. Let's say your wealth range is 3 to 5. Then you can very quickly upgrade to 5. Yeah, so whatever your range is, depending on your upbringing, your conditioning, you'll have a certain range. And if you've been a bit disempowered around money, you might be at the bottom of that range, and you can have a quite quickly breakthrough to the top of that range and get radical growth there. But to actually really build a wealth consciousness is such a development of inner habits and external habits and actions and beliefs and ways of thinking about money that is confronting. Yeah, and I want to confront you. I don't think I'm supposed to from a sales perspective. I'm meant to be a bit more like inspiring, like anything is possible. Come and train with me and we'll transform your wealth consciousness. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in having a really real conversation with you about, actually, if you're at a 3 currently, what it's actually going to take to be able to build the wealth consciousness of the vision that you just said you wanted. There's a huge gap there. And if you don't confront that gap, then you'll keep getting disappointed, because you'll do one meditation, you'll get out there and do a few actions, and you won't create what you want, and you won't know why. So I want you to know why. Yeah. And then we can get to work. Yeah. Then we can build this in this session, but also in your world, commit to build a financial internal structure that can house your dreams. Yeah. Because money is a language of the modern world, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it. I personally think the system's screwed, and there's 1,000 reasons I don't like the money system and the way in which we value it higher than, anyway, we'll get into that forever. But if I just sit there going, it's crap, that doesn't help me, doesn't help anyone. I've got to create a relationship with it I love, and I have, and I continue to. And I literally feel like I was probably at a 2, and I reckon I'm at probably a 6 now. Yeah. So now for those of you who are already at a 6, that's not that inspiring. Yeah, because it's like, oh my god, this guy's just at a 6. Why would I learn wealth from him? Yeah, because I don't have, multi-million dollar business incomes. I haven't got developed that. But if you're at a 2 or a 3 or a 4, then having someone who's at a 6 going, I was at fucking 2 and I've grown it to a 6, and for me it's a miracle, will hopefully give you inspiration and training that no one sitting in their private jet will ever give you. Yeah, does that make sense? Just give us hands if that makes sense. That you're going to have to get to work. You're going to have to get messy, get ugly, face your conditioning and your patterns until step by step you go from 158, it goes from 5 to 7 until, like now probably, I don't know obviously what it's like, but I reckon I'm probably 50-50. Yeah, half of my patterns around wealth are still coming from past conditioning. I need to catch and go, look at you worrying about money again. Or when I spend money, I'm still like, oh, have I got any left? And it's like, dude, you're fine. But what are you doing? So I'm still catching them and uprooting them and increasing that number. But yeah, so I hope I've sufficiently inspired you in a grounded way to build your wealth consciousness. Yeah, because like I said, so many people out there in this industry are selling you the dream of go and make your 10K month, go and make your 20K month, go and sell a coaching program. But if you haven't got the internal structure to receive that wealth, it just won't work. Even if your program is brilliant, your wisdom is epic, and the people you work with make incredible life, you will continually, unconsciously sabotage yourself to be able to, because you just don't believe that life is going to give you that amount of money. Or you'll do it once, but won't be able to sustain it. Okay. You still with me? Just check you're still with me. I haven't been too grumpy, but so then what do you do? Yeah, obviously this is meant to be the breakthrough point session. It's not just you're stuck with your financial patterns. So what do you do to get to work? Now in this work, we have something called the embodiment scale. And this is one of the sort of key pieces of training that we developed working with, thousands of people in our Warriors of Love program. And it really helps you understand at what level of embodiment you are at and what actions to take to grow from there. And this is not just for wealth, but I'll share it why it's relevant to wealth. And why it's so powerful and why so many people's lives have been transformed by this very simple thing I'm going to share with you is that it recognizes that the actions required to grow from a 2 to a 3 are very different from a 7 to 8 in any area of life. So I'll give a sport example for a second, or a fitness and health example. So if there's a personal trainer who's teaching how to get fit, and healthy, and they are already at a 9 out of 10 peak health level, ripped 6-pack, a chest of, either a male or a female chest of glory, they look hot in their Instagram, whatever, and they're coming out teaching you how to get fit and healthy. They're already at a 7 or 8 or a 9 of health. And they'll come in and say, here's what you've got to do. Here's the training program. Believe in yourself, eat these foods, do this thing. And they're vibrating at that 7, 8 or 9, which is inspiring to anyone. Even if you're a 1 or 2, it's inspiring. But unconsciously what they'll be doing is the strategies they'll be providing, most likely, unless they have really consciously done the work themselves and able to provide a step-by-step framework, they will be the strategies that really help someone who's already at, say, a 5, 6 or 7. Be like, okay, get focused, get disciplined, you can do this, believe in yourself. And so someone who comes along to that person's training, if they're at that level of 6 already, then that person vibrating about at an 8 going, here's what's possible, will really inspire them and help them. But if you're at a 2 and you're struggling to get off the couch and you're feeling heavy and lethargic, then that person will actually often push you deeper into the couch. Yeah, because the gap feels too much. It feels like it's not relevant. Does that make sense? Do you understand that? So what's needed to help someone get off the couch is often very different than what helps someone go from, a 6-pack to an 8-pack, or from So it's the same with wealth, and same with anything. It's the same with safety. It's the same with anything in your life. There is a level that you've embodied that thing. Yeah, so some of us is really good in relationships, and we're able to have safe, secure, deep, loving relationships. Sue has this incredible family. They're just, the kids love her, her husband loves her. There's just this, they have a field of love that is, she still doesn't understand how amazing it is. Yeah, because I come from a fractured home. I don't have that same pattern. There's just a way they love, they fight, and it's all good. There's just, she has an embodiment of secure love family that is breathtaking for me to behold. It makes me cry. I haven't got that pattern. Even though I've done a lot of work, I have an incredible relationship with my son, I don't have that pattern that she has. So we've each got a pattern that we've learned about each and every area of life. And to transform those patterns is a beautiful thing. And that's the possibility of free choice and growth we have. And so, same for wealth, that there's different strategies required at different stages to grow your wealth. So I'm going to show you our simplified version of the embodiment scale now. And I'm going to talk through what is required for you to grow your wealth. And hopefully this will inspire you to take some action on growing that wealth. Okay, so embodiment, that's how embodied it is in your booty. Okay, so embodiment scale is how alive that essence or that state is currently in this area of your life, both as an internal structure and as an internal series of habits, as well as results you get. So, and it's all relevant to what you've decided a 10 is as well. Yeah. So you defined your 10 by that 6-month vision we went. Of course, you could get a new 10 and then you go back to, like for some of you, you might already be a 7 or 8 for this, and then you'll fulfill on that, and then you'll get a new version of what 10 is, which then means that all of a sudden you're back to 3, 4 because you've created a new 10. If that makes sense. Okay, so down the left is the symptom first. And so at 1 to 2, you feel stuck. There's very little possibility. And so on a financial level, it's like, no matter what I do, I don't ever seem to be able to change it. Yeah, I've always been this way around money. It goes through my, hands. My dad is like this. No matter how much money he gets, it disappears. I've had chats to him and said, look, I can help you change your wealth. He's like, I don't want to change. I'm happy being poor. He's working class English. Rich people are horrible. He's happy being a 1 or 2, and that's the way he is. So he's not stuck because it's just the way it is, and he's happy to be there. But he's absolutely stuck when it comes to money. He complains about money, blah, blah, blah. So at that level, there's very little possibility. It's very hard to even make change. And most of the time, you wouldn't even be on this call if you were at a 1 or a 2. Now, 3 to 4 is a sense of scattered. It's a sense of you occasionally have possibilities. Maybe there's a day where you have a few good thoughts and you're able to create some of that wealth, but it's really not, sustainable and not consistent for you. Then 5 to 6 we call hopeful, which is when you genuinely have moments where that level of wealth is your reality. Yeah, it's there, but it's not sustaining itself. It's not solid ground. It's like, yeah, it's a 50-50. Yeah, obviously 5 to 6, it's there. 50% of the time it's not. It's there in some ways, but not in others. Often there's some sense of it, but it's not really flourishing. Like the garden is alive, but it's certainly not flourishing and producing a lot of fruit. 7 to 8 is when it's real. Yeah, that there's evidence for that. There's experience of that. It's happening, and yeah, that makes sense. And 9 to 10 is what we call synergy, which is where this incredible thing happens, where growth, your own visions are basically being inspired by life. So your 10 is being continually re-scaffolded. It's like, oh no, that's 10, and so often life is leading you, then inspiring you to earn more and create more. Okay, so the reason this is so powerful is to then understand what you need to do to move forward. So we've got the qualities there: love, courage, inspiration, challenge, and celebration. And this is I use this when I'm training coaches. Yeah, I have a system called embodiment coaching, and I train people how to coach people using the embodied skills we've developed. And this is foundation to this. If someone comes in and they're stuck, I'll give you an example. Someone comes in and they're really stuck, and you go to treat them like they're at a 7 to an 8 and go, come on, you can do this. Anything is possible. Make a change. That won't work for a stuck person. Yeah, it won't create the friction and change that's needed unless you're really able to build the love, courage, and inspiration first. Then maybe you can challenge them. So actually, they need love. They need to be seen first. Yeah. But what I want to touch on now is this other side, because this is where hopefully you can create some wealth growth for yourself. So if you're at a 1 to 2, and this is relevant to 3, 4 as well, but it's especially relevant to a 1 or 2, is get help. Yeah, at a 1 or 2, you cannot be relied on to make the transformation yourself. Yeah. And so in terms of wealth, if you're at a 1 or 2 or even 3, then trying to just do it yourself is actually bloody hard, because you've got a 7. If you're at a 2, you've got an 8 of not that weighing down on you. Yes, so you've got a 2 of possibility and an 8 of no possibility. Does that make sense? Does that understands that? So the key thing, yeah, and this is part of, Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff as well, is to recognize, I can't do this. Oh, I can't transform my wealth consciousness. I need help. Yeah, reach out, get help from us, from whoever, ask friends who are wealthy, how did you do it, please. But recognize that you trying to generate your own motivation is inherently really difficult. Even if you get a little bit of it, it'll fall over again. So get help. Second, at 3 or 4, is get some structure, some system. Because at 3 or 4, you've got enough possibility that, this could be possible, but you haven't got the structures to embed it into your life. So get yourself a structure. It's part of what the village is about, but it's about being able to develop a system of internal patterns and thought external things that'll help you build those new patterns. So often I'll tell people at this stage, if I'm coaching them, get into a course now, maybe one I've got or maybe someone else has got, but put yourself in a structure and develop a structure that will help you grow, that's not all reliant on you. Yeah. Then 5 or 6 is about really setting a game for yourself. Now it gets more fun now, yeah, where you start to go, okay, you've got help, you've got a structure in place. Now let's set a game for generating your wealth. Choose an amount, choose a goal, pattern the essence of that, and let's go out and play. Yeah. And this is where I like to get to people when they're working with wealth, because then it starts to be more fun. The other ones is like, oh, I'm never going to get there. But once you get to 5 or 6, there's a sense of, this is possible. Let's play a game. Let's just, see if we can earn some more money, see if we can get some more clients. Let's play a game, build the internal patterns to go with it, and get some traction, some results. Then it's through to setting a goal, which is really about, okay, I'm going to earn $20,000 this month and I'm going to go for it with everything. Yeah. That sort of goal setting is too much for someone at the early stages. And then we go to envision, which is about continually revisioning your life. Okay, you can take that down now. So I hope from this session you've got some traction. We're actually at time, so I'm going to have to finish it there. But the couple of things I'll say to finish is that to be able to grow your wealth is to recognize where you want to be, where you are, and then find the next step and take that and then build momentum with that and grow wealth consciousness. Yeah, I haven't spoken as much about wealth consciousness, which is, what that tenet is, but there's a whole ways to understand wealth consciousness, about gratitude, about how you relate to money on a moment by moment level, as well as deep patterns of receiving and how to learn to receive wealth. So there's all sorts of things you can do to transform your wealth. Just find that next step and take it. So I will stay around for some minutes to answer some questions and coaching on that. But before I finish the recording, let me just touch on the village. Yeah. So the village is our epic training program, and it almost feels, doing this training, like the value of being inside a container where people are training and upgrading their wealth can't be underestimated, because you're around other people that are, earning more, or they're changing their wealth as well, rather than being inside, similar things. So have it, in terms of what we talked about today, the village is an incredible structure to grow your wealth as well as to grow your business. Okay, so it's very simply, you can get much more details from us. I just want to touch on it. So if you feel a calling, you can come and get more info. It's an accelerator, which basically helps your business accelerate. And how we do that is what we call the 3 fires, which is your state. So how to activate and master your state so that it is fully and powerfully generating itself as the source of your business and leading the creative process. Then the strategy is really, we help business people understand what is the right next step for me. Yep. And then the third is support, which is the living community of people who are practicing mastering their state and mastering their strategy together. And it creates a whole momentum and a synergy together that is epic. You know, what Sue and I love, empowered groups together. And then one last screenshot is what we call the business growth ladder. And this is basically wherever you're at, we help you find this, and then we help you move up this ladder step by step. So it starts as an idea, and then the graphics coming on in a second. So waiting for it. Here it is. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, here's the business growth ladder. Now, of course, every business is different, but working with, you know, thousands of businesses in this wisdom industry, there's really clear steps we go through. And this is a bit like the embodiment scale that we were just looking at. Yeah. So we start with an idea, then we've got to build up to a seed, and then a hobby, and then a side hustle, a career, up to a business, to a scalable business, to a lifestyle business. Yeah. And then how you move through those stages, there's specific things to focus on at each stage. And wherever you're at, when you arrive in the village, the first thing we do is what we call the embodied business map. We get a sense of where is your business, where is your wealth consciousness, where is your current, what's your current product, what, you know, all those things. We get a sense of where is it now, and then we help you map out a journey up this ladder. Okay, so that's the village. If you're interested in the village, just drop the word village in the chat and we'll reach out to you. We'd love to, you know, that's why we offer all these free things, is because we've got this ongoing program to, you know, it funds the people in that, help fund, make this possible. So just drop the word village in the chat, or if you're watching the recording, just reach out to us and say, I'm interested in the village, and we'll pause the recording now.
You all.
Listen.